Good. It is 12 o'clock on the dot right now. Woo! Woo! Man, me and Rhett just had a good session. I cannot believe I have never really thought about classes, and when you create a class, sometimes you'll have a construction time dependency, sometimes you'll have a runtime dependency, sometimes you'll have a runtime requirement that you only need at that moment in the runtime. And sometimes you write code and you just don't quite know exactly what you're actually saying. So you're just writing the code. So what you're saying, I believe what you're actually saying when you do something like this is saying that scene service is absolutely dependent on recyclable service, sequence service, construction time. But and this one too, actually. Okay, I don't want to change any code outside my other thing. Yeah, so this actually should go down here with the construction time dependencies. But if you want something, but it's not a dependent, so if it's not a construction, there's no point if the scene can't create an ID, it has no reason for existing. It has to. So this is in fact a runtime dependency, recyclable seeds, but the other one is not. So, anyways, that's what I was just working on. So now what we're doing is we're going to go through the process of changing gears. And that is an incredibly deep thought. It's something that's fascinating. It occupies my whole brain while I'm thinking about it. That whole dependencies, it's so important to my life. Like a lot of confusion that I've experienced in life would go away if I had a better grip on all that. I'm actually really glad we went down this path, but now it's time to change gears. And I don't know what gear I'm supposed to go to, so I'm going to go to my recents because I do have I've come up with some schemes. So I know that last night I was working on this for my wife, so that's not that. The night before that, I was working on this. And then this I was working on my wife, and then there's flashcards, so that must have been what I was working on Sunday. And then say hello is what I'm working on right now. So let's just before we do that, let's kill this, and let's go ahead and get rid of this, and then let's go here, and then I'm going to try to check to see if my YouTube video is working yet. Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party, and that's me. All right, so now we've killed this. We should be able to reload this and it'd just be like dead. Now let's go to say hello. Now, I only work on say hello once a week. It's a snail's pace. I think it's going to be a really fun application. I don't think it has a lot of legs, a long life because it is um, a problem. I mean, it's like a technology that is not well the API isn't settled. So it's very likely it's not going to work. It also has massive third-party dependencies. Like it cannot work. This technology cannot work if you do not have access to the cloud. And the cloud that you need access to is either the Azure cloud or the Microsoft cloud. No, those are the same cloud. Or the Google cloud. I think Google Cloud is actually called Google Cloud. And then Azure, I think is what Microsoft calls their cloud. Anyways, so now let's just go to voice and just kind of figure out what are we even trying to do here? What are we even trying to do here? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do this. We're saying, oh, I want to say hello in English. Hello. And look, it matched. So then I want like a little star or something to appear if I say it. And then it's like, oh, okay, I want to do this in Spanish now. I believe they're both Mexican and Spain are both um, hola, but hola. And I should get like that. Now it blows my mind that we got a capital H on this. Now, if we were in doing this in Edge, we would get a capital H with a dot. We would have got a capital H there with a period. Um, but then since we got a match, I would give a red star for that. But if I said, I don't know, um, how would like somebody holla, holla? Oh, see, it's still right. So apparently, it thinks that if we were in Mexico, it would be able. I think what this is saying is a person would likely say it. Um, how about la? So I would not get a star. Now let's see if it was one of the no. So yeah, so I would not get a star on that one, but I would get a star on this one. That's the plan. That's what we're trying to get to. It doesn't sound like it should be too bad. But I do want to build a bunch of other stuff on the way when it comes to like infrastructure. So I want to experiment with end-to-end tests with voice, see like because I know I'm confident that a voice can't actually do that. Can't do that. A voice that the Cypress can't turn your microphone on and stuff like that. So like I think it's gonna have to be like a hybrid voice thing. So I'm looking forward to learning about that and all that. And I'm hoping I am honestly I just want to get this done before 2027. I want to have a new project. Or maybe 2027 would just be all about adding different languages and stuff. Um, so, you know, I don't know. Just depends. Just depends. Um, but anyways, I need to go in 2026. I changed my architecture. So if I type in dir here, in the past we would have just been in our in our application, but see now we have a Cypress application, we have a Say Hello application, and all that. And I actually don't even know what the heck are we even working on. Okay, so this was supposed to be URL. Oh, I probably have a README. Do I have a README? Yep, I have a README. I have two READMEs, so that's kind of confusing. Let's see. This README. Okay, I don't have anything useful in there or anything that I want. Oh, looks like I left myself a chat GPT. Let's see how this works. Because I honestly don't remember. I think what we're working on is that um, I think we'd figured out that GitHub has a problem. Like are not going to be able to use GitHub. I think that's but that we did get I like email to work. Okay, so yeah, see, yeah, that's right. So I think we came to the conclusion that I'm just not going to test GitHub. Um, Now, I don't think this is username though. I think I actually fixed that in the package. Yeah, Marty the Party. So we have our packages. This one doesn't work. I think I want to leave it just so we could test it from time to time to see if it starts working. Um, this one, it's kind of weird that does this one really work? Oh no, that's weird. Um, all right, so I think we just want to get these to all pass at ilikeemail.com, and then I think we're done. And yeah, so let's try it because I don't think that's going to work because I think ilikeemail.com is say hello. Yeah, it's this guy. So this base URL isn't going to work. And I believe that this package defines the base URL. So I think that's going to have to be slash say hello, just like this one. but I felt like I remember it working before. Okay, so we're going to go into the Cypress and we're going to start that up. npm run. Oh, I guess actually the first thing we need to do is go into say hello UI and start it up. cd say hello npm start. And then over here, we want to go into our Cypress, cd Cypress, and then dir, and then npm run open. So when we run open, it should just try to run, well, yeah, it should just try to run our local host. I don't know if our local host is up and running yet, though. It's kind of crazy how long it takes it to come up because there's really not that much to build. I don't think. Actually, what the hell do I know? I have no idea how much there is to build. Boy, I'll tell you, I've never seen the market on an international basis be so bad. It is such a bad market right now. It's incredible. And honestly, I think what the whole industry had just gotten itself into a really weird npm Cypress, npm run had gotten into a really bad habit because basically, a team has usually like one like a very effective team could be like two developers, a BA, and a QA. Like that could be a really good team. But then like you end up bringing all these code. So in that case, like I think everyone's got a pretty clear division of labor. But once you start bringing in a lot of these code adjacent things like CI/CD people and Scrum masters and just all kinds of other sorts of roles, things get very, very abstract. And I think we had gotten to the point, we'd literally gotten to the point where you have teams that will go for years without a single developer, right? Like there are a lot of times teams, organizations have tried to have like, oh, we have a pool of developers and then we have a pool of non-developers and the pool of non-developers work on stuff and then whenever they're ready, they engage with the developer and the developer builds it up. I worked at a place once that had that, and um, we had this meeting, and there had to be like 180 people in the meeting, and it was like everything this organization was going to do in quarter 3 of. I'm just making up a number here. Quarter. I don't even know what the quarter was. A single quarter of a single year. So we're just for the sake of us, the story, quarter 2 of 2008. All right, so everything that was going to be done, those numbers, all of that's completely wrong. It definitely wasn't in 2008. And then, so there was like hundreds of people in the room. Sometimes I just can't really remember. Sometimes I think it was like 100, but sometimes I think it was like 300. But it was definitely between 100 and 300 people. And so all these groups were getting together and they were all going to do all these demos of everything that they were going to deliver in that year, in that quarter, in that 3 months. So they all started giving all these they started to figure out who was going to do the first demo. And then my boss at the time, he wasn't really my boss, but he was like the person that I did most of my work for there, said, okay, I'm so and so. I am the blah, 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 gave his title. If you write code, like if you literally write code onto it and you save it into Git, if you ever do that, stand up. And only 5 people stood up. So there was somewhere between 100 and 300 people in there, literally only 5 people. And then he's like, if you are absolutely dedicated to only working on video, like so you only do video code, so none of these things are about video, stay stood. I mean, sit down. And then that left only 2 of us. So 2 of us developers were going to do all the work that these 15, 20 teams had generated in the next 2 months. 2 months, and both of us had a whole pile of work that we were supposed to do that had nothing to do with them. And companies had gotten to the point where like literally they would hire, oh, we're going to hire 30 new people, and not a single person would be someone who wrote code. Okay, now we're hiring 20 more new people, and none of them write code, and they all just start doing roles, and they're just working away. And I think that that is what we're trying to unwind out of. We have to figure out the balance between actual coders and supporting cast, and then we need to actually even figure out what the difference between actual coders and supporting cast are. But so now this is going to try to test our local instance and just check to see if it exists. So I expect this one to work. I expect all three of these to work, I think. I believe all three of these are going to work. I don't know why it's taking so long, but I believe they'll all work. But yeah, so I think that we're in a situation where like the entire system just has to get burnt to the ground, it feels like. I mean, of course, there's core software development roles that need to be maintained. And honestly, on the other side of it, like my son, he knows how to code, and he went to boot camp for coding, and then he's almost got a degree in he's very close to having his degree in accounting, and they're constantly giving them software coding skills. They're just not calling it. They're saying, "Hey, write a plugin, or write this that takes care of that." Um, so like that's not even a rare like. So he's learning to code again, or they're just assigning that to everybody. All right, so let's try see why I like email. And I mean, I just think we just can't even really get rolling the way it is. I know that like there's like a railroad or Southern Pacific or something like that. I don't know. They were interviewing me one year. Let's see what I like email. Yeah, that looks good. They were interviewing me one year, and I was really hurting for work. I was looking for work, and so I got this interview. I was very excited. We talked. We had like three phone interviews with different people, and then just ghosted. I mean, they just ghosted. Like we never talked. And then like a year later, or then I saw that they went through this big hiring, like where they were searching for like scrum masters and basically agile sorts of roles. And um and then they called like a year and a half later, like nothing had ever happened. Like, hey, how's it going? Is it, like we'd just been talking the whole time. Um and they're like, yeah, do you want to interview? And then the interviews were all different, and they were all okay. So this didn't, okay, so that's that. It did not go to, so it went to this page. That's where we're at. But we want to be at this page. So what I want to do is, I think what I need to do is go into my package and add say hello to this. And I don't know if it's gonna, what happens here. Like, I don't think it picked it up. So I think it's still running on that first thing. So I think what we need to do is kill that. So we need to kill this. Yeah, that was weird though, right? I like it. Oh no, it wasn't, because say hello. Um, but yeah, so yeah, so I feel like there's going to be some. I don't know if there'll be traditional developers like they were in. So I don't remember what it was. This has happened a couple times in my career where like the entire industry has just completely collapsed. Or like just nobody needs code written. Nobody. They need it, but they just can't figure it out. And so this has happened before, but never to this scale. I mean, the scale is just unbelievable. Okay, so that's perfect. That's exactly where we want that to be. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if this next one fails, but it's more of a coding, like the script coding. Okay, so that's perfect. And now I just want to just absolute double check that our other one is in fact broken the way. Yeah, GitHub, say hello. So if I remember correctly, this one breaks. It just gives you like the script itself decides that GitHub, the script itself decides that it's going to fail just because it got a 404 code back, which a 404 code almost always means that the file not found. But for some reason, the folks over at GitHub decided that they were going to hack the 404, and that the 404 was now going to be like um, um, the 404 was going to be a like the index page. Which is just absolutely bizarre. So I think even this first one fails because like, we got a 404 back. Hmm? What? What? Yeah. So for some reason this one fails, even though it is in the right place. Oh, data. Oh, yeah, and data entities does work. It didn't even try though. Like, so if we go to our local host, because the thing is we said that the first one is going to be the route, the uh, language, and the second one is the country or the. It's not called a country, but the locale. So we need to do that. But anyway, so it looks like we're ready to commit this stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I don't think I want any of my README changes, right? Yeah, so we're going to get rid of that. Be gone. And Cypress config. Okay, yeah, we needed to add this. It doesn't really do anything, but it does give it a bait. Like if you were just to run the CY, it would at least give it some place to go. Um, package. So the reason we don't need it, well, actually, oh, that's right. So open will end up being the same as local because we have that in that config file. We have that. So basically, it's for this on line 6 for that call. Is basically what it ends up being about. There, we removed the local host so that it can just use the base. Same thing. Routing. Yeah, so we added some things in here, and we probably do not want this. Yeah, it was just 3 blank lines at the top. Talk about one of the most underrated skills in software development is the ability to understand how to use Git. I mean, it's just so insanely critical and so insanely ignored. And if you have that skill, like when they come to you, they're like desperate, and then they don't want to even talk to you again once you've helped them get whatever it is resolved. And boy, are there a lot of the thems in this scenario. The second you have them squared away, they're just like, "Bye, I got this." That is one of those things. All right, so git status. I added beetroot to that. Beetroot has a real dirt taste to it, which dirt is clearly really good for you, unfortunately. I don't know about eating, but like it's very important to be around dirt, I think. All right, so this is issue what? Looks like issue 15. Let's go to GitHub and find out for sure. I hope I have more issues. So if I don't, we got to make some shit up for next week. So this is say hello. Oh, I only have one issue. That's going to be this guy. Cypress URL. Okay. And this is issue number 15. So git commit dash m issue 15. And then makes the Cypress URL configurable. I think that is super important. Oops, what the heck? That sucks. Git commit dash m issue 15 makes e2e makes the base URL configurable. Git push. All right. I think we might actually be writing code next week. So again, so what would happen is you would create this pull request, you would assign a reviewer, right? And then the reviewer would um, hit the, or you would hit the pull request and then they would get an email or a communication, however you do your communications. It may be in Git, I don't know. But if you, where I work, we get an email and then you click on the email and you end up with a view that's very similar to this. And the one I always like is the file changed. And then you just sort of just go through all the different files and look for any issues. And then like if you have a comment, you just click on one of these lines and you can put a comment in there and then it'll send them the reviewer. And typically you cannot merge it and approve the PR until all the comments have been resolved. Now, the big interesting, God, this is just, and it says so much about an organization. So in some organizations, the person who responds to the comment, so the author. So if I've written the code, and my code is being reviewed, and someone says, "Hey, can you add this or can you change that or whatever?" I make that change and then I mark it as fixed. But in other places, the author, the person who wrote the comment, is the one who marks it as fixed. So you do your change, you say, "Hey, I finished this," and then they review it and then they mark it as fixed. And the most bizarre part of that is every place I've ever worked does it one way or the other, and they all think that that their way is the only way it's done. Like none of them ever think that maybe there's another way to do it. Like the places where the person who writes the comment also then reviews the change and then marks it as code are like, how in the world? What? This developer is so arrogant. They marked my comment as fixed. Like, what? What kind of monster is this person? Because they marked my comment as fixed. That was my comment. They marked it as fixed. But then in other places, they're like, yeah, man, you're a professional. We expect you to be a professional. If we make a comment, unless we specifically say in the comment, please don't mark this as fixed until I review it, you go ahead and mark it as fixed. And the both sides just judge the other side so like crazy. But anyways, so I'm gonna delete this branch because boy, do they stack up. It's crazy. It's a great idea to keep them. Boy, do they stack up. All right, so what are we gonna do next? I guess what we're gonna do next is let's see. So basically, oh, okay, we want to show the language and locale in the screen. Display the language and locale, which is going to be a lot harder. So, like, let's say on day one, before we did anything, well, I don't even know what we have. Actually, maybe this won't be too bad. So, Cypress app. Okay, so all we have is the app. For some reason, I thought we had a service. So, at this point, do we want a service? No, I think we want to show the language and URL in the screen on the screen. And we want to make sure that we're listening to. I thought I could have sworn we had a routing service, but maybe not. Maybe we don't even. We must have a routing service, right? Okay. So we want to create a, a service that listens, that publishes the language and region. I think that should be locale, and I don't think it affects anything. Maybe that is region though. Okay, I'm a little confused. Let's ask Gemini. I've never done this before. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, so the web API, there is a language, a locale. I think that's locale, right? Let's go to AI mode. So apparently it agrees that these are in fact locales, not region. Oh, okay. So this part of a locale is the language. This part is the region. Okay, so good to know. So that's right. Um, okay, so we want to be able to create a service that will determine what the language and region is, and will publish the language. If the language changes, the language will get published. If the region changes, the region will get published. Um, if either changes, we want to, update the thing. And yeah, this one's kind of nice because it uses discrete. So that means every time we use it, we can update every time the user tries to push the button to say hello, we can update the locale and I mean the locale. Um, so there'd be no reason. But if this was like a continuous, boy, would that lead to a lot of weird old things. So okay, so create a service and show the values for locale. So the locale is that. So basically, I guess I don't think there's any reason that you need to know. Like, let's say you change the region, or let's say you change the language, but you didn't change the other one. There's really nothing either way, it doesn't. It's not like you would change something because oh, they only changed the region or they only changed the language. So, so create a service that monitors the route and announces locale changes. And this is nice because it's a string, so we won't have to do a lot of like backflips and stuff like that so that we can force it to recognize changes. We're just going to update, we're going to signal the string. We're going to use signals to publish, uh, and instead of announces, we're going to make that publishes. And I think it's locale changes. Also show the um, the locale on app.html. So we are kind of like, I don't know, probably stepping outside of the lane that we should be in at the moment, but so the app will get a instance of the service and then it will print the value, and that is important. But in the final implementation of this, that will probably be in some sort of component, and we'll probably end up removing all this stuff. So that is cool. We're going to assign it to yourself, Marty the party, and then we are going to I want to create a branch, and then so I've created my branch. I want to check it out locally. And just to be clear, you know how we deleted the branch? Let's see. I think I managed to not sneeze at all, you guys, so I'm proud of myself for that. To rock around, rock around. I turned off my input to my mic. Control V. Boom. Okay, so now we are in our new thing. So starting next Saturday, we will start the actual, we're going to create we're probably going to have with two services, right? One will be a routing service that lists, like one that is based on routing that'll be listening for routes, and then publishing a signal that says, hey, the locale has changed. And the locale at this point, I think the locale, yeah, yes, it will probably have some sort of navigation that'll let you change from language to language, but the primary driver of that information is going to be from the route. So like if someone manually changes it in the UI, like they say, oh, I want to speak Russian, it's going to be like um, you'll go to Russian. I mean, I don't want any of the code to respond to that. All I want to do is change the route, and then all responses come from the route change. So that's one service, and then the other service is going to be the thing that interacts with the API. Um, I don't think those services. I don't think any of them have any construction time dependencies on each other. This is a new concept for me. I've never really thought about that, but like I don't think that the service that determines the routing needs to be connected to the service that configures the UI. Maybe I guess I do. Actually, I do want that. That's exactly what I want. So the service that creates the UI doesn't even Like it can't exist without the routing service. The routing service is the truth, period. If somebody else changes something, it doesn't matter. All that matters is if the route is changed or not. If you change the route, then we will change the API interface. But anyway, so that's about how that's going to work. It looks like we're in the right thing. I guess I'd like to go into my README and give myself a hint for next week. And I think I like to do it at that top README just because there's hardly anything in there. So I want to do that. And I'm just say next week. Next week. Um, so let's create a service that emits a signal when one uh, based on the route. The route. So basically, this guy right here. That's crazy. This guy right here. Do I have a localhost 1 version? Yeah. This guy right here should emit, I say 4, so 4 ENUS. And then number 2, and this is just more like just so we could test ourselves. It's the UI for, oh no, on the UI, listen, the UI for what are these things called? Locale changes. And print in template. And then 3. Update Cypress tests. And that, as they say, is that. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.